esteemed people, it's your boy E Money, your favorite engineer. Check it out. If you want to get involved with Power 108.9 as far as partnerships and advertising, if you want to reach our 50,000 plus listeners and viewers per week, please email power1089ads@gmail.com. That's power1089ads@gmail.com. Speak to our marketing director so we can get you set up and ready to go. Let us help you reach your targeted audience and expand your brand.
For tax evasion.
Tax evasion and some cryptocurrency information.
Oh, he hung himself.
Yes.
Maybe
Did
that's
you
why
not
my
read the story,
crypto money
journalist?
ain't right.
How you a journalist that don't read the story?
He ain't even a reporter. He ain't none of this. He a producer and host.
he does.
Power 108.9, a station for the people. This program are those of the program host, and guest, and do not necessarily reflect the views of Power 108.9 and its officials. We hope you enjoy.
From Crystal with love, come on. From Crystal with love, come on. Let's talk. Look here, I ain't the type that be writing love letters. I'm more clever.
All right, happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to From Crystal with Love XO. I'm your host, Crystal Jordan, and I am so happy to have you all joining me today. It is October. It is my favorite month of the year for several reasons. Number one is my birthday month. I want to thank everyone that sent me birthday wishes earlier this month. It's my birthday, my anniversary, my husband's birthday. It was a lot happening the very first week of October. So thank you guys so much. If you sent a happy birthday, and if you didn't, that's okay too, because I had an amazing birthday. So much happened. I had the opportunity to honor women last week. Rolling Out held an amazing event called Sisters with Superpowers here at the Ritz-Carlton. It was an amazing event. We honored 15 trendsetters and women in their field that are just exemplary. And I had the opportunity to have a few friends in that, part of my tribe. We know our tribe, our vibe attracts our tribe. And I'm honored to have so many powerful, amazing women that are in that network that I embrace as my tribe. But it was an amazing event. Shouts out to Rolling Out founder and publisher Munson Steed and his amazing crew, Melinda Johnson, Tigner James, Randy Fling. The entire Rolling Out staff was in the building, and it was an amazing night. You can visit rollingout.com to find more information. I think they actually live streamed the event, which is on Facebook. Our guest speaker for the evening was Dr. Sonia Stribling, and she gave an empowering conversation to women. There's so many women here, especially in the city of Atlanta, that are already doing their thing. And sometimes people don't understand that just because a woman has things going on, she still may need some encouragement, right? And so Dr. Sonia did an amazing job of encouraging the women in the room, speaking to everyone that was there. It was just a beautiful night full of sisterhood support. And I just feel honored to be a part of it. We had Dr. Rashad Ritchie join me as well. So it was a great night. So again, my October has gotten off to an amazing start, and it's good to be back here. I took off the first week for my birthday, and then we had some other stuff happening the second week. So being back here with you guys is amazing, and today's show is great. I'm not going to spend too much time on introductions, but I had to give a couple of shout outs. But I have two guests today, and as you guys know, in addition to being Crystal's favorite month, October is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And for myself, I'm not a breast cancer survivor, but I am a cancer survivor. And so I had ovarian cancer, and I constantly, talk to women about the importance of self-care and taking care of ourselves, because often we don't know that something's wrong with us as soon as we should, because we're just not doing the steps that we should do to take care of ourselves. So my first guest is going to get us straight. She's going to get us all straightened out, because self-care starts with you. And I think, it's not necessarily the way you look, but it's how you take care of your body. That's going to come through, right? That internal care radiates through to the external, and who better than to have a celebrity personal trainer, motivational inspiration and speaker. She's actually an author as well. So please help me welcome my first guest, DeBlair Tate.
Hey guys, thanks for joining in. Show so much love for being a cancer survivor. That is amazing. So God bless you on that.
Thank you. Well, I think it took me a long time to actually even want to share that story, because a lot of times when people hear the word cancer, they you get this vibe from people that feels like pity, and I didn't like that, right? But as I've gotten older and I understand that really, you know, when we share our stories with people, it actually empowers them, and you know, you just never know. I think that's the reason that we're all here, is to empower each other and to share our stories. So over the last few years, I have been sharing it, but you have a book, and when I got the title of your book, I was like, you know what? This sister has a story. There's a story behind this. Can you tell us? Because it's Resilient as AF.
AF, yes, it's Resilient AF. And one thing I want to tell you too is sharing your story is self-care. You know, we talk about that self-care, and you just don't know who you're affecting, you know, by telling your story. And that's what I had to determine as well. So the title of my book is Resilient AF. And one thing about it is I was a very private person and did not want to share my story.
I see.
You know, I did not want to share my story, but even writing the book and even going through some of the experiences all over again, that was a form of self-care for me, because I relived some of those moments and I opened up some wounds that I didn't even know still existed. Because we're so prone to sweep things under the rug and think that we have to be resilient AF, meaning that we just have to pretend like it didn't happen.
Right.
Being resilient AF means dealing with it, facing it head on, and knowing how to counter it and get yourself healing in the process.
Let me ask you this, because I think there's we know there's this narrative that Black women are all so strong and so resilient, right? And so I was telling a friend, because I was, you know, talking to a friend about something. They're like, we know, Crystal, you're so strong. And at some point, that strength is, to me, I got tired of hearing that. Because sometimes we're expected to be resilient. We're expected to be so strong that people don't realize that we do have hurt, and we're trying to make sure that we mask that for other people. How can we be resilient and strong and yet still acknowledge that we do need help?
It's called being okay with being vulnerable, you know, because we kind of calculate being strong and vulnerable as two totally different things or whatever. So I do feel like I'm strong. Strong and resilient means you want to get through it. I do have weak moments. We all have weak moments, but you just don't stay in those moments. You know what I mean? Being resilient is like recognizing that there's an issue, there's a problem, there's something that's there, and how can I get out of it? How can I not stay in this place? So we will be weak at one point, you know, and that's why we have different avenues and different people and these different techniques or whatever. People like you telling their story so they can see like, hey, she got through it, I can get through it too. I'm in my weakest moment, going through a depression, but how can I get out of it? That's where the resiliency comes in, and figuring out a way to get to that point.
Yeah, I like that. I one of my favorite quotes from Jay-Z is like, the only thing that we did different is that we just didn't give up. And I think that being able to acknowledge, I'm hurting, I'm doing this, but I'm going to get back at it and give it another, you know, keep going and keep going. That's the only thing that separates the successful from the non-successful.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about, like I said, this is about self-care. And of course, we know taking care of ourselves, I have learned recently, is so much more than just the external, right? So at a certain point, you realize that taking care of your body early dictates what you will have to do later.
Oh my God. Yes.
Right. So let's talk about a little bit about what you learned, especially being a celebrity. You're obviously very, very physically fit. You look amazing. But what are some of the lessons that you learned that people would not maybe think offhand, being a celebrity personal trainer?
So that you basically have to take care of yourself first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you get into this industry and this business, and all you want to do is not disappoint. You want to make sure you're delivering. You want to make sure you're helping other people, making sure your brand is everything, and you're giving people what they really want. Standing behind the quality, the integrity, giving results, and you're failing to take care of yourself. And I learned the hard way because my body started telling me that I wasn't taking care of me. You know, I still wanted to go, wasn't sleeping. I was waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and wasn't going to sleep till like 2, 3 in the morning. I started
getting a power nap.
It wasn't even that. I was on those power drinks. You know what I mean? So I was just like fueling my body any way I can, because I'm a hustler by nature.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to say no. So I just wanted to get to the dollar, like whatever it is. If there's a dollar to be made, or if there's a person to be helped, I'm going to get them. Even to the point where, not even work related, but with my friends and family and clients, I wanted to be at everybody's child softball game. Like, I just felt like I needed to be everything for everybody. And
Right.
I was neglecting myself 10,000%. But I was talking about it. You know what I mean? And so that's why I got to the point where I started listening to my clients, started really having conversations with them. And that's how I became a coach, because I started saying, hey, all this stuff that I'm doing is really not making sense.
Yeah.
And I'm telling them to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm just doing the total opposite.
Yeah.
So I'm not living in my truth right now.
That authenticity matters, and I think people pick up on that. What are some of the things? Because I know for me, I can relate to your story 100%. I started my PR agency here, and I was working, taking care. And there's certain for some people, you get a reward for being there for other people. You feel good about it, right? It kind of feels like you're serving your purpose. But in the same token, you can't do that without making sure that you're taking care of yourself. So for me, I started noticing that I wasn't as sharp certain places. And then I started having pain that I wasn't, like, a pain would come and go and I would dismiss it, right? I would just power through, because I have a big thing. On my wall in my office, I had by any means necessary, meaning you get through, you keep going by any means necessary. So I adopted that philosophy for work. So something happened, I'm sleepy, I'm tired, and I would keep going, keep pressing through. And eventually my body was like, nah.
Right.
You go sit down,
Yeah.
right?
It's
But
gonna
it was
tell you.
extreme. And when I went to the doctor, she was like, well, what happened? I didn't even realize that probably 6 to 8 months I had been ignoring signs that my body was showing me, from pain, from irregular bleeding, that there was something wrong.
That's
and I just
serious.
wasn't paying attention to it. So what signs did you start to notice that kind of let you know, okay, I gotta make a change. I gotta do something different?
Absolutely. It started off really early for me. The first sign was I experienced what you call vertigo. I don't know. You guys probably are familiar with that, but I was
It's like dizziness, right?
Oh my God,
Yeah.
it's on another level. I would not wish that on my worst enemy. It's dizziness at the same time. It's like vomiting, diarrhea, or whatever. So I started experiencing that, and my stress level elevated. I was still young. So it was kind of like I didn't know really what was going on. And then after that, I started experiencing some autoimmune issues that I really never wanted to talk about, because I'm like, okay, I'm so young. I am not about to be getting on medications, going
Right.
to see these doctors or whatever. So I still wanted to ignore it. For a long time, I wanted to ignore it. But my body was constantly telling me, hey, listen to me.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
still like, no, I'm in my
good.
20s.
Yeah,
Like, are you
yeah.
crazy? Like, so that's why it was so hard for me to just open up, because I did not want anyone to feel sorry for me. And I know people have heard that before. And that's another thing. Oh, I'm just so strong. Did not want anybody to feel sorry for me. Did not want anybody to treat me differently. Did not want anybody to not book me.
Yeah.
Because when you have issues, people are nervous. You know what I'm saying? They started treating you differently, and they started just second guessing, like, I don't know if she'll be reliable or
Yep.
whatever. I don't want her getting sick on me. But it was nothing like that. But I had to start paying attention. So my body started just knocking on the door. I wouldn't open it, so it kicked down the door.
Yep.
And I had to start saying, okay, like, this is going to go bad if I don't stop right now and pay attention.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that process, because I knew with a title like that, because I have a book that my second book was How to Win When SHIT Happens, right? So whenever you are at that point, something has happened. There have been some life-changing epiphany that was the motivation behind that. So what were the factors that led to you saying, you know what, I got to share this. I got to share this story with others.
Absolutely. So I had an interview that Adrian got for me, and it was they wanted to do like a documentary on me, and I was like, why you want to do a documentary on me? But in the process, like the pre-interview, we were just talking about how I grew up, like my life and things like that, and I started sharing with them the racism that I experienced growing up as a child that I did not know existed, because for me it was normal. So I was telling them, hey, grew up, had a separate prom, separate, everything was separate. So
And what city was this though? Because
this was Winona, Mississippi. So we had a black prom and we had a white prom.
And what year? I'm sorry, I don't want to
This
date you,
was
but that is
2000.
crazy.
This was it went on way long after me. So we're just talking about the 2000s. So even long after me, it was still going on.
Wow.
So proms, the baccalaureate services. I was a black homecoming queen. We had a white homecoming queen. Anything that normal people at schools did together, we were segregated. But it was our normal. So I took one of my friends home with me for one of my class reunions. And he was like, where are the white people, the other? And I was like, oh, they had theirs last week. I said it as a matter of fact.
The school administration, that's just shocking to hear. The school administration actually would have
it was accepted. It was accepted. It was normal. But that is not even to mention all the other racist stuff that happened. Like, we had different doors that we went into, and it was so normal for us. And that's why I really had to write that book, because even coming to Atlanta, me telling people that, it's almost like, wow, how was I so blind to that? But when you grow up in that situation, and it's a small city, and when you don't know anything else, it's not like I travel. We didn't have a lot of money, so I was there.
Right.
You know what I mean? I knew my surrounding areas, and that's what it was. So when I started talking to people about that and telling them what I experienced, and then even writing that book, just reliving some of the situations that I went through, I played sports. I didn't experience a lot of the racism because the whites treated me good because I was beneficial to them, because I was really good in sports. And it was just different for other people. And I look back at like some of my family, my play grandmother, which lived up the street from me. I remember her being taken every single day to work. Like the white lady would come and pick her up. She would get in the back of the car and go to her house to clean her house. She could not enter into the lady's front door. She had to go through the back door.
And sounds like a whole movie.
Yes, and it was certain areas, and even now I took pictures, and I talk about it very, very like specifically in my book about how just the clans, they had open meetings. Like, we knew when they had meetings, and we knew who was the Klansmen. They were the owners of the gas stations and the grocery stores, and we would see them every single day. They would speak to us. We would keep it moving. One of the biggest things was like the Tardy Furniture murder. And I think you and I talked about that, Mike, before, where this man was accused of execution style killing 3 white people at Tardy's Furniture. It turned out he was on death row, tried 9 times for the same crime. You guys can look this up. He's out now. He's free. How are you on death row?
So it was a white man or a black man?
It was a black man charged.
A black man charged with
killing 3 white execution style, supposedly because they withheld his check or something like that. But anyway, it was said that it was them, one of them, that did it, but they had so many people, you know, they did a documentary on it. So many people saying, oh, well, this person did it to try to pin it on him, because racism was real. And if it was one of them, they're not going to, you know what I'm saying? So it was a really big deal, and it just, they found so many loopholes and racism in the process, and he just got out this year or last year.
Wow.
And this has been going on since high school. I remember like it was yesterday, because I was downtown, and they separated us, and it was still a big thing. They burned his mom's house down. Anybody that had anything to say about that story, and they were even questioning me writing that stuff in my book, because they were like,
who was
okay.
They?
Just my people back home. And I was still nervous too, because I'm like, anybody that ever said anything or openly discussed that story, things happen. Like, you know, house got caught on fire, or, you know, somebody got missing, or whatever the case may be. So some of my family is still there. So I'm like, do I want to talk about this in my book and give my opinion about it, and risk the chances of my family being affected, because racism is still very real in my city.
I don't know now, what's the name of your city again?
Winona, Mississippi.
Winona. So I don't know how far Winona is from Jackson, Mississippi.
An hour and a half.
Okay. So I went to Jackson, Mississippi this summer to visit the ladies from Bell Collective. And in the Uber, my Uber driver was a white guy, and he immediately starts talking about the Klan. Like, it was the weirdest. I felt like what year is this? What's happening? And he was just like, you know, it's dangerous, you know, and he was saying he wasn't with it, but I'm just like, how did this conversation even come up in the Uber? And then another blogger that was there, or journalist, she had her Uber driver was in a pickup truck, and there was racism mentioned there as well. So we kind of realized, like, this is definitely definitely, I wouldn't say as extreme as what you experienced, because that's crazy. But it's definitely a different culture, and it's definitely very, very different than here. I grew up in Oklahoma, and I went to my high school reunion back in September. And it's funny because we went to a school where we all felt unified, right? We felt very much like there was probably 55% black, 45% white. So it felt very equal. But yet when you have that many black students, it feels like a black school, even though it was a lot of white students. But what I noticed is that even though we said we're unified and we were, we love each other, it's still very segregated because we just have different behavior patterns and different likes and dislikes. And so we all came together, but we also were separate, but it wasn't school. The school wasn't hosting that. Like the school was saying, this is the prom and this is this. And then once we got inside, said hello, did your own thing, then separated. We went separately to our own corners. And that even happened at the reunion. It was just, and I don't think, just speaking on my behalf, I don't think the other members of my class feel bad towards each other, but it is very obvious that there's a huge divide. Like it's just a cultural divide.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what prompted me to want to tell my story and write the book, because I was like, this is insane. This is.
So you did it at the expense of even your family or people having.
I did. I'm about that life. It's just, it is what it is. It's like, I just can't allow. I felt like I ran for so long and we were shadowed for so long. And I said, I can't keep doing this. It's my story. It's my truth. I'm not saying anything that you can't go read in the media.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm giving my opinion about it, but I'm entitled to how I feel about that situation. And even me being in the military, 3 strikes, being a woman, being a black woman in the military, and being higher up in rank. The more I climbed the ranks, the more I experienced, the undue racism. But theirs are different. Like the racism I experienced in my city and the racism I experienced being in the military is 2 totally different types of racisms.
So.
You know what I mean? And the higher up that I got into that, oh my God, when George Floyd happened, it was horrible. It was horrible for me mentally because everybody was trying to pretend like, they're tiptoeing around us as blacks. You know what I mean? And treating us differently.
Where were you at when that happened?
George Floyd, I was home when it happened.
Okay.
I was home watching it, but I had to go to work the next day. And I work with a bunch of military cops.
Oh.
So it was like I felt a certain type of way because at the end of the day, yes, I do wear the uniform, but I'm still a black woman.
Yeah.
So how am I supposed to feel? Because a lot of them feel that, oh, well, white lives matter too. They didn't understand. Like we were trying to say that their lives didn't matter. We're not saying that. You know what I mean? So
I just have to ask you, and I hate to even do this because I don't want to give any more energy to this negativity, this conversation that keeps happening. But you mentioned white lives matter. We know Kanye West and Candace Owens, put these shirts on that say white lives. I feel like they're gaslighting and poking at people and trying to get attention so that they can push something. That works for Kanye a lot. But recently he did a Drink Champs interview and said that George Floyd was not killed, that he died from drugs in the system. What are your thoughts on just this whole circus around the Black Lives, White Lives Matter?
Well, I think that the intention of it has been just really, really ignored. The whole purpose of Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter was supposed to be a movement. It wasn't supposed to be dismissing anybody or trying to downgrade a certain race. It was supposed to just basically be about us empowering ourselves because our lives have not mattered. So people have been making it way more than that. As it relates to what Kanye is doing, first of all, everybody's entitled to their opinions. Some stuff you just need to ignore.
Yeah.
Once you give light to the foolishness, you know what I mean? I think he likes attention. And to me, honestly, I think he has some type of mental issue.
Yeah, well, he has acknowledged
that needs to be addressed. So you have to really take that into consideration because some of the things that he says is kind of like, really, like who would really say that? And even if he did pass like that, how inconsiderate could you be to even bring that to light? Think about his family and things like that. Why would you even want to put that out there, whether you believed it or not? Especially the platform that you have to be mindful of the things you say.
Yeah. We're just in a strange place. But I want to get back to what we were talking about, which is self-love and how, and a lot of times it's difficult for people to get to a place where they're able to experience self-love because they have been through so much trauma. So what key factors did you use to kind of help get yourself to a place after going through that, realizing that you grew up in a way that was not normal for most? What did you do to kind of focus on being able to love yourself and create self-acceptance and self-love so that you could get to be where you are today?
First of all, I had to acknowledge that it happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the first thing I had to do is just okay, this happened, and now what? You know what I mean? And then I just started setting boundaries and just started creating the life that I wanted to have for myself. And that consisted of making sure that I put myself first, making sure that I was just very mindful of the things that happen to me, because the people in your life, the things that happen, the situations, that's what molds you into the person that you are today. So you just really have to be careful and mindful of those things. So just setting boundaries, putting myself first, practicing what I preach, and just trying to live as healthy as I can every day.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate you coming in. Before you leave, I want you to give people your website so that they can find out more about your story, what you're doing now, and of course, where they can buy a copy of your book.
Oh, absolutely. My website is www.8figure.com. On my site, it's everything. You can find me on Instagram at IamDeBlair. You can purchase my book on all platforms, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. You can go on IG and also go to I Am DeBlair and get it as well. So go follow me for all your tips. The holidays are coming up. Health and wellness is really important. I got a lot of programs that I'm implementing. So if you're interested in becoming the best version of you, go ahead and hit me up on my DMs.
I love it. Well, you got to hit her up in the DMs. You heard her. Thank you so much, DeBlair Tate, for hanging out with us. I love the title, Resilient AF. Definitely congratulations on all your success. And thank you so much for having the courage to share your story.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you. All right. We'll be right back. We have another guest today. We're talking about Breast Cancer Awareness Month and self-love and how we can do a little something to love on ourselves during this month. Stay right there. We're coming right back with From Crystal with Love XO.
Keep up with Power 108.9 on social media.
How can I find you?
Instagram.
At Power 108.9.
And Facebook.
At Power 108.9.
It's the exact same thing. It's at Power 108.9.
Okay.
Power 108.9. A station for the people. I'd like to welcome everyone.
If you're a content creator, social media socialite, influencer, or simply love to record current events, you need the Joystick. The Joystick is an essential tool for every type of digital content creator. It holds 2 or more mobile phones or tablets, allowing users to stream and record hands-free on multiple apps simultaneously. And it's lightweight and portable. For more information or to purchase your Joystick today, visit our website at www.joystick.com.
Yo, it's Michael McFadden of Power 108.9, and I want to ask you a question. Are you looking for a new house? If so, you need to holler at our guy, the mortgage guy, Alvin Jameson. AlvinJameson.com. Yeah, Alvin like the chipmunk, and Jameson like that fine whiskey. Not only can he help you on the purchase of that new home, he can also assist you on that refinance as well. So whether it's FHA, conventional, and of course that VA home loan that you sitting on right now, yo, call Alvin Jameson. 404-587-9033. Once again, 404-587-9033. Trust the guy we trust here at Power 108.9. Alvin Jameson. AlvinJameson.com, or just call him 404-587-9033. And of course, tell him you heard it right here on Power 108.9. Let's go. Yo, it's Michael McFadden for our friends over at Credit Building Professionals. You know what they do? They help their clients achieve better credit. How? Late payments, fraud, liens, charge-offs, student loans. They do it all. Get results in 30 to 90 days, and it's very simple to contact them. Hit them up on their website, creditbuildingprofessionals.com, or give them a call, 678-447-2012. Once again, 678-447-2012. Tell them you heard it on Power 108.9. What up, Credit Craig?
My powerful and pristine people, it's your boy E Money, your favorite engineer. Check it out. If you want to get involved with Power 108.9 as far as partnerships and advertising, if you want to reach our 50,000 plus listeners and viewers per week, please email power1089ads@gmail.com. That's power1089ads@gmail.com. Speak to our marketing director so we can get you set up and ready to go. Let us help you reach your targeted audience and expand your brand.
Question.
Honest question. Do you really know what's going on in the Metro Atlanta real estate market?
I own half of Atlanta. You believe that? Real estate.
Team Todd Realty Group. Atlanta has become a hotbed for real estate, and it's consistently growing by the day. Nikita Todd and the good folks with Team Todd Realty Group are here to assist you with any of your real estate needs. Looking to buy a house?
What I would tell a first-time home buyer is to make sure that you have saved adequately.
Thinking about that investment property?
Reach out to me because, of course, I have a lot of resources.
Or trying to sell your house?
It's always best to consult with your realtor first. We have options to get your house on the market as quickly as possible, and we also have other options to where you can purchase with cash and sell your home later. So it's always best to consult a realtor because we have a lot of tricks of the trade that not everybody's privy to.
Don't wait another minute. Go to www.teamtoddrealty.com for more information. Team Todd Realty Group.
But shout out to our friends over there at Credit Building Professionals. What up, Credit Craig?
I tried to come with you.
That's what she said.
Oh.
Hey.
Power 108.9, a station for the people.
What's going on, y'all? This is Tony Hightower, and you are listening to Power 108.9.
All right, we are back. This is From Crystal with Love XO. And of course, this is the month of October. And I told you guys we are talking about self-love. We also know that this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And as I shared with DeBlair Tate, I am a cancer survivor, not breast cancer survivor, but cancer survivor. And I had the opportunity to meet this next guest through a mutual friend of ours because he said, Crystal, I have this lady that I'm working with, and I feel like you need to meet her. She's a survivor. And she was able to turn her pain and everything that she went through, her trials and tribulations as a breast cancer survivor, into something beautiful, into something to empower other women. And so I'm so thankful that she was able to stop by today. Please help me welcome Kay with Random Wine.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Now, we talked a couple of weeks ago, and I love your story. You went from dealing with breast cancer. I mentioned, like I said, I was a cancer survivor. We kind of talked a little bit about that. Right. But I don't think that people understand. So many people hear, you hear that someone is a survivor, and people automatically make you feel like, oh, I'm so sorry, right? And especially when you're going through it. But we were able to talk about how when you're going through it, sometimes you don't want to hear that from other people. You're trying to be strong for them. But then there are so many little things about life that change during that process. And you were able to take one of those things that you weren't able to do and turn it into a new passion with Random Wine. So first of all, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Crystal. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's talk about, before we get into the wine, because I know that's what we want to make sure everybody sees that.
It's always about the wine.
It's always about the wine. But let's talk about how you got here. Your story just really touched my heart because I could relate to it on so many levels. So talk a little bit about where you were in life when you did get your breast cancer diagnosis.
So in 2014, I was going through a really nasty divorce. Mm-hmm. And going through that divorce, I ended up having to move from the city that I was in because of all the kind of publicity around the divorce. Mm-hmm. So during that time, I moved away, and I was having this pain under my left arm for like months. And you know how you just ignore it. You know, most of us
talks about
strong women, we just ignore it. And I finally go to the doctor, and they check it out, and they tell me that, I have cancer. And immediately my thought was, is this God telling me that I shouldn't have left this marriage? So I started feeling down on myself, because the minute you hear it, the first thing you even think in your own head is like, I'm going to die.
Yeah. Yes.
It's the first thing in your own head. So then when you tell other people and they come at you with that,
they're looking at you like, Are you okay?
Right.
And they're thinking, is she going to be okay? Is she going to die?
Right. And so I actually, I think I went through the whole stages of grief, all the stages there. I was angry, I was hurt, I was, depressed, all of that. And so I kept going to like these support groups and talking to my doctor and going through stuff. And I was like, look, something's just not right. I can't function. I'm crying all the time. I'm not feeling like I'm going to make this. I go to these support groups and I feel like everybody's just talking me to death.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing to say. Like everybody's just talking me to death. And she asked me, she was like, she had gone through the same type of breast cancer that I had, the stage 2B. And, this is as we were preparing for the double mastectomy. And she said to me, she said, Kay, what do you enjoy doing?
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest, I'm not the hobby person, so I can't say I had a hobby or anything like that. I don't knit, I don't sew, I don't collect stamps or anything like that. So I said, look, I really like karaoke. I said, and I like trying new wines. And she said, look, I can't tell you to drink. And let's be clear, I'm not telling anybody that they should drink because they have a cancer diagnosis.
Right.
What I'm saying is that it was something that was enjoyable for me. So I just started telling friends. I went home and I remember crying about it. And I was like, I can't drink wine. And, what am I supposed to do? And nobody wants to sing with me other than sad songs, and I'm going to cry. And actually, I started telling my friends, look, instead of bringing me flowers and candy and cards, why don't you guys just bring me bottles of wine from different regions?
Nice. And smart, Kay.
yeah. Let's just go to Total Wine and like knock it out. Find the region, bring me a bottle. And I had one friend, and I won't call her name, but she'll forever know who I'm talking about, who brings me a bottle of wine and tells me, all right, I got you this really nice bottle of wine, and I need you to age it for 10 years.
What?
I was like, friend. And we know I didn't use the word friend.
Right.
Keep
we
it
know,
clean.
we
Keep
know
it
what
clean.
that word was.
I was like, I don't know if I'm going to live the next 10 minutes. And you tell me I need to age this for 10 years?
Yeah.
And so immediately when that happened is when I came up with, I need my own wine, the random wine. Because I went through a whole stage, Crystal, where I was like just whining and upset. Probably not the best friend to be around.
Yep.
Because it was that whole woe is me, woe is me. And that's why I always say I turn my woes into a win.
I like that.
And it just wasn't a good space to be in. And people around you don't realize it, that, when they come at you and they're saying, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, what can I do? And it's like, man, just treat me like I'm normal.
Just treat me, right. That's so hard. And I understand, coming through it, I understand on the other side, because I've had friends go through it, since I've been in remission. And it's not that you're trying to make them feel, but you're concerned. And it's just difficult to do. If you guys are just joining, we are talking with Kay Jackson. She is the founder of The Random Wine, and she has a huge fundraiser happening here in the city of Atlanta today. So I'm just very thankful that she was able to make it in the middle of her whirlwind schedule this week to talk about this. But this is something that, I was 31 when I went through my diagnosis, and the thing at that age, it was like I was 31, my children were small, and I'm just like, how could this happen at this point in my life? Like, it just, I didn't expect that.
Right.
And since that time, that was, years ago, I've had so many friends that are my age and younger dealing with breast cancer. It feels like this is an issue that is affecting women younger and younger and younger as the years go by. Have you seen that?
I have. And I tell everybody, I lost my 30s to cancer because we thought it was gone after the first year, and then they had to go back in. So I've had probably like 6 surgeries regarding this, and that's including my reconstruction. The pivotal point for me, you talked about, being in your 30s and having your children. My son, having to watch me go through this, even for Friday's event, is a bit emotional for him to even be a part of. Because he remembers a time that, I was sick. I just come from chemo, and he was holding my hair back while I, throw up, and my whole ponytail came off. And I was one of those women who you know, my hair was my thing. So I always had really long hair. And when it came off, he looked at me and he goes, "Mommy, are you going to die?" And I'm not going to cry with you guys. But
I can relate. My son was at school and he didn't tell me because my son was like 6 and he went to school and was like, the teacher's like, "What's going on?" It's like, "I don't want my mom to die." And I remember feeling, "Okay, I can't do this." But I remember, feeling so much guilt that my son would have to experience that.
I feel like he lost a good 10 years of me. Yeah, he lost a good 10 years with his mom because of that, because he was trying to be my strength.
Yeah, they do. But the beautiful thing that I've learned, my son is 25. Ooh, that makes me cry as well. My son is 25 today, and he's always been my protector. But I realize, a lot of times as women, we feel like we're supposed to be there for everybody else. But I believe that God puts our children, sometimes spouses can handle it, sometimes they can't. My spouse at the time couldn't handle it. But my mother and friends in my life that were supposed to be there and were supposed to feed into me. And I realized that there was no reason for me to feel guilty about my son being strong for me, because God put him there, and that's our bond. He was there, my son and my daughter, and thank God for them, because that was part of the motivation that we need to move forward is what the people that God places on our, especially our babies. They give you. I remember going into surgery and knowing that when I woke up, that's why I have to get up. I have to get up because I got these people on the other side of it. So I'm thankful. And I think this program was so important, because I don't often talk about this, especially with another survivor, because there's certain things that it's just unspoken that know because you've gone through it. But the beauty of being able to share this with someone else, because if I had been able to listen to two women talk about it and see them on the other side, I think it would have empowered me in a different way.
Absolutely. And we got to do better with the support groups out there. A lot of the support groups, they do tend to talk people to death, and they scare you. They do. And it's this whole, woe is me type of thing, to where I almost felt, it was almost like having the cooties as a kid. Remember, you don't touch that person. Yep. So, and that's how it makes you feel. Yeah. And you isolate yourself. These support groups have got to get better, which is why the organization that we support, Loving Arms Cancer Outreach, they support all types of cancers. Yeah. Men, women, and children. And the thing I love about it is their support groups are so uplifting and positive, and they're not talking about another one just beat their battle and gain their wings and the fight. No, it's talking about the people that came on the other side, that have fought through it, that have gone through it. And that's what I want to do. I want to touch and inspire people to let them know that I think it's a mindset. I honestly think that it's a mindset. We're out here finding cures for everything else. Yep. But this is the one disease we can't cure. It's hard for me to believe, and I'm not going to get political, but I think Big Pharma, we're just going to leave it at that.
Understood.
But I will say this, that, as many people as I want to touch, I want to let them know that there is a light on the other side, and sometimes it's a mindset and being positive. And I thank God that I had my son, my friends, and that I even had the oncologist that I had at the time. She has since passed on. I found out a week ago she passed because I wanted to invite her to the event. But had it not been for, I'm sorry.
It's okay. That's okay.
Had it not been for her, I wouldn't have found my happy place and the emotional space to be in to fight it.
Yeah. I think it's important that people understand there's no right or wrong way. I have a girlfriend, a very good friend, Monica Polo, that shared with me after she had gone through her most of the experience, and it was a mindset. And I, at first it broke my heart, because I was like, oh my God, I wanted to, to be able to be there for her, but everybody deals with things differently. And a lot of times we feel guilty because we may not deal with them the way someone else does. And I think we have to understand that, however, if you wake up one day and you don't want to talk to anybody, that's okay. And if you wake up another day and you want your friends to come over and love on you, that's okay. And if you want to have a girlfriend's night where you don't talk about anything that has to do with cancer, that's okay. And I think on the outside, the best thing you can do is be open and allow that person to kind of set the tone, because there were some days that I did want to cry with my friends and I wanted them to talk. And there were certain days I didn't want to talk about it at all,
Agreed.
And I think you have to find what works for you and know that I think as women, we always are trying to, even when we're going through struggle, trying to make sure that we're good for everybody else and not realizing that it's okay to let them be there for us, So another reason why I think this is so cool, because when you're going through something like that, girls' night seems not fun and seems like people are just coming to basically sit around and be sad. But this random wine, it kind of makes fun of the idea that you may need to whine sometimes, but then you also just meaning that there's nothing that I think women can relate to better than sitting around and just talking shit with each other, drinking a glass of wine, right?
Exactly. And that's the whole premise behind it. Take a little wine while you whine.
Mm-hmm.
And, in my friend group, and we know some of the same people, we got this thing. You get your 10 minutes. You can whine about it, and then we tossing up a glass. So that's how this wine works.
Yes.
And that's what it was about. It was about bringing and having the hard conversations over a nice glass of wine.
Yeah.
And like I said, the whole screw top, and it's wine that you can go get off the shelf right now, and you can drink right now. You don't have to age it. You don't have to wait. And then if you don't finish the bottle, put the top back on and finish it tomorrow.
Finish it tomorrow. What was this process like? Because I don't want to gloss over the fact that there's a process to creating your own liquor brand. Like and when we talked on the phone earlier, sometimes work, because I went through cancer diagnosis and a divorce at the same time. Imagine the fun. And I needed something to save me from that. And so I focused on work. Work was a distractor, work and my children. So I know having a project that you can really put yourself in, that you're passionate about, often is an elixir. Is so much better than it's like vitamin D. It gives you that energy. So talk about the process of creating your wine brand.
So I'll say this. I didn't create the wine brand while I was going through. It was after I was in remission, my first year.
Yeah.
And but as I was going through, I started studying about wine and thinking okay, this is what I want to do. And it turned into the random wine initially was going to be me just trying different wines and having this thing. And then I was like, why am I going to try everybody else's wine? I need my own.
Absolutely.
So when I met my husband, I've only been married a year and a month.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And when I first met him, he asked what I wanted for the first birthday for us being together. And I was like, I want to really start my own wine line. And he was like, I think you're crazy. Do you want a purse or a pair of shoes?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you're going to marry me anyway. You might as well make the investment, right?
There you go.
So he introduced me to a broker. And when I met the wine broker, we started visiting and talking to different vineyards and wineries about partnering and things like that. So I finally met one, Scotto Cellars, out in Lodi, California, and we talked about the journey. And as we spoke about the journey, they were excited about it. But they gave me pushback on my label and the name because, wine is considered very snobbish and bougie. And they thought I was making a mockery of it. And I was like, no, it's my story. And it's how I want to represent, what wine means to me.
Yeah.
And it's all relative. You know how many people go pick up a bottle of wine just because of the label? But, it's not just a good label. I think it's great wine.
Meaning. It's got meaning to it. I think for me, like you said, you didn't do this while you were in remission. To me, that's another thing. When I did go into remission, people were like, okay, so you're okay now. But it's like you have PTSD. I'm just like,
every doctor's appointment. I'm sorry.
Any little pain of anything, I was freaked out. Like, is it coming back? Is it so it's not just, yes, you're happy. Yes, you're on the other side. But it took me years to let the fear go the the cancer returning. So, and then you were actually dealing with the remission for a while. You said you ended up having to go back. So you just don't. I think it's just there's not a clear-cut way to deal with it, and however you deal with it is okay. But I don't think I've ever voiced that. Like after, I remember my ex-husband was like, "Well, the cancer's gone." It's like, yeah, but I literally like almost died, and I. It takes a while to get mentally to know that you're okay, because it's just an experience that, like I said, unless you're a survivor, it's hard to understand. I am blessed to be able to meet people like yourself, Dr. Jackie, and so many other survivors, Tracy Nicole, a good friend of mine as well. Like I said, Monica, like so many amazing, strong women. There's no face for this. There's no look. There's no way you can tell. You know what I mean? It's just women. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to do not ignore anything. It's not even about ignoring signs. I think it's really about just taking the time to know your body and get to know your body on a regular basis. It's just putting yourself first on your priority list that we don't often do.
That's it. And bringing awareness. I mean, and for those of us that's gone through it, I think we need to talk about it more.
Yeah.
Even though it's a hard conversation, we need to talk about it more, and we need to talk about it more to the young ladies that look like us, that's growing up and coming through, and letting them know that it's okay to go get checked. And if your doctor is sending you home and you still feeling it, push back,
absolutely.
and make them check some more.
Yeah. So, all right. So this event that you're doing, I'm excited to be able to be hosting on the red carpet, talking to the different survivors there. Let's talk about this event, people, how they can get involved, how they can come out and support.
So first, let me say thank you. We're excited to have you on our pink carpet. So the On Cloud Wine Gala is on Friday, October 21st at the Atlanta Crown Plaza Midtown Hotel. And what we're doing is this is a chance for us to go ahead and launch all 5 new varietals for the random wine.
Okay.
We started out with 2, our Pinot Grigio and our red blend. And now we are upgrading and adding 5 more, which is a sweet red, a Moscato, a Pinot Noir, and we got some bubbles, a Brut and a Brut Rosé.
I see that Brut Rosé over there.
It's delicious, too.
Oh, my goodness.
So,
what's your favorite? Personal favorite?
You know what? These are like my babies, so I can't pick a favorite.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like my children. I can't pick a favorite because I like them all. It just depends on what kind of mood I'm in.
Which was the first one?
The red blend.
The red blend.
The red blend
that's
was
the one I have right here.
Yeah, the red blend and the Pinot Grigio were the first ones. So
okay, so if people are not, where can people find the wine for people that are not maybe in the city of Atlanta and can't get to the event on Friday? Where can they find the wine? Where can they request the wine be in their local distributors? How can they find that information?
You can always go online to therandomwine.com, and that's wine with an H, and see all the locations we're at locally, and also purchased online.
Okay. All right. That's the beauty of the internet right now. We can always go online and purchase. I want you to share, because we talked so much. We had a great conversation initially. Can you share from some of the other women that you've been working with to kind of create this event, some of the stories that you've heard from other people, and how this outreach and initiative, especially with the nonprofit that you guys have partnered with, what are some of the things that have motivated you to know that you're doing the right thing? This is the right thing for you to be doing.
Man, I tell you, my favorite thing to hear is at the end of one of these events that we do. We had our brunch yesterday, and it was to celebrate those who have passed on. And one of the ladies came up to me and she hugged me and she said, "You know what?" She said, "You're such an inspiration, and I just feel so much love from you." And my personal mantra is, love is my legacy. My legacy is love.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I can touch everybody that I run in contact with and they just feel love from me, I've done something right.
Yeah.
So for me, it's exciting because these folks get to get dressed up, something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy getting dolled up and, going through. It was hard to do that. So it's a chance for them to get dolled up. It's a chance for them to dance because we got DJ Stormy, we got Richard Shaw, on the sax. Like, we're going to have a good time, and it's a good way to get them dressed up, get them out, and just take a moment to forget.
Yeah.
And that whole, just be on cloud wine that night.
On cloud wine.
That's
I love
right.
it.
So that's all we want to do is just provide a space. And that's all I want to do is provide a space for people to feel that sense of normalcy. Because that's all I wanted when I was going through my journey.
And I remember wondering, will that ever come? I will say this, and this is just my personal testimony. I was obsessed with the work. That probably did not change. But at the time of my diagnosis, I was obsessed with work. I had 2 kids that I was so in love with and so proud of. I had a marriage that I was so in love with and so proud of, and was just doing so much. And the diagnosis actually, I can say, made me a better person, because what I went through, having all of that stripped, I felt like Job in the Bible. I lost everything. But what I gained was, first of all, a deeper sense of self, a different relationship with my children, a different relationship with those that were close to me. But really, most importantly, just a different relationship with myself. And I can say, honestly, I'm a better mother. I'm a better friend. I hope to be a better wife after experiencing that, because it made me more present. Before that, I wasn't necessarily as present. I was very focused on, cheer, tap, jazz, Cub Scouts, everything. And that centered me and made me sit down and made me focus on the things that were really important. And it changed my outlook on those I love. It's important for me to tell people I love them. I don't like going to bed angry, because you don't know, tomorrow is not promised. And it's important for me to let people know in my own way, that are a part of my life, how important they are to me. And that it's not that it wasn't important before. I just I just wasn't present. I just wasn't focused on that. And so I feel like it made me a better person. I also feel like if I could see myself now, then I would have been able to just exhale, because I didn't know what the future looked like. So for me, I just want to tell anyone that's out there that's dealing with a new diagnosis, because part of that fear is you don't know what the future will look like. You don't know what you will look like. You don't know what this will do to your body. Just there's so many places that you can be afraid and have anxiety. And I can tell you from myself, if I saw the future, it would have calmed so much of that. And just know that you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay in your own way, but you're going to be okay. So I would just say to you, what did you learn? What was your biggest lesson for you throughout this entire process?
My biggest lesson was life is short.
Yeah.
I appreciate every second that God blesses me on this earth. And I refuse to let a moment pass by that I don't appreciate. Whether good, bad, indifferent, I don't care. I'm going to appreciate it. I'm going to be thankful for it. Yeah. And I'm going to love through it. Now, you talked about putting yourself through work. I know I'll work my bum buns off. My team probably thinks I work their bum buns off.
Yeah.
But I just want to be in the moment. And I want to live every day that I'm here like it's going to be my last.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, that's a beautiful note to end on. I think every person that is listening to this broadcast, whether you're listening to it here on Power 108.9 or you're hearing it later on YouTube, I thank you. I believe that you were supposed to hear this message. There's no accidents. Nothing happens by chance. And know that you are loved. And most importantly, that love is within you. And so this has been one of my favorite episode so far. This is From Crystal with Love. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you're taking care of yourself with love. See you next Wednesday. See you next Tuesday.
Crystal with Love, come on, let's talk about it. From Crystal.
Hey, where you got it? I'm the hottest around there. Know when they see you rolling them Impalas